All right, Unit 3, Formative 1, Video 4, Compound Inequalities. A compound inequality is like a compound in science. It's just more than two things, two or more things. So we're going to have two inequalities in one problem. All right, so the first one you can see we have two inequalities because I have an inequality here and I also have an inequality here. So I'm going to draw my line down those. All right, now, I still want to solve for x. Okay, so it's x minus 3 here in the middle. Okay, so I want to add 3. Okay, now the problem is there's more than one side. There's actually 3 sides to this inequality. So we have the left side, we have the middle, and we have the right side. So if I'm going to add 3 to the middle, I also need to add it to the left and the right side. All right, so the negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. Bring down my inequality. X is left in the middle because those canceled. Bring down my inequality. 10 plus 3 is 13. Okay. Now x is by itself, so this is my answer. Okay. So now on a number line, if you notice that on the problem x is in the middle, well, it's also going to be the middle on the number line. So when I draw my number line, let me see, hang on. Okay, so when I draw my number line, okay, all I want on my number line when we have compound are the two answers. So negative 2 and 13. Make sure they're in order, so negatives are to the left, positives to the right. Bigger numbers are to the right, smaller numbers are to the left. Okay, so I'm going to put a circle above them. Okay, now if you notice, this one is an open and this one's closed. So the one that's at 13 is closed. So I'm going to have to shade that in. All right, and x is in the middle, so what we're going to do is we are going to shade in between the two dots. All right. Now, interval notation. Same rules apply, you just won't have infinity because we don't have any arrows. All right, so the first thing we see is when we come to this is an open circle at negative 2. So open circle means we have parentheses at negative 2. And then what we stop at is a closed circle at 13. So we're going to 13 is where we close, and it's a closed circle, so it's a bracket. Okay. This is called an and statement. All right, whenever it's shaded in the middle, it's an and statement. All right, next one. Again, this is going to be an and statement. All right, so we have to get rid of, we're solving for x, so we got to get rid of the 4, so I'm going to multiply by 4. Now, if I multiply the middle by 4, I have to multiply the left and the right side by 4. Okay, now I got to get rid of the 2, so I'm going to subtract 2 from the middle, so I have to subtract 2 from the other sides. Okay, this gives me negative 14. That's not equal. I have an x there, and then I have a 10. All right, let's do our number line. Okay, so negative 14 is my smallest number, so it's on the left, and then we have 10 on the right. And if we look, both of them have or equals 2, so I'm going to shade both of my circles in. Okay, and it's an and statement, so that means I'm going to shade in between. Okay. All right, interval notation. So start on the left. The first thing I have is a closed circle at negative 14. So closed circle means bracket. That's at negative 14. And then over here on the right side, I have a closed circle at 10. So I have 10, and I have another closed circle, which means another bracket. There's your interval notation. All right, here's an OR. So these are separate problems, so you can't do them all at the same time. So on this first one here, okay, so I'm going to solve this one first. I'm going to subtract 4, so I have to subtract 4. I got this. So I have negative x is greater than or equal to negative 2. Now I have the divide by negative 1. So I'm dividing by a negative, so make sure you flip your inequality. So I have x is less than or equal to 2. All right, on the other one, I'm going to divide by 3. So if x is greater than 4. Okay, all right, let's do a number line. Smaller number is 2, so it goes on the left. Larger number is 4, goes on the right. The one that goes with a 2 has an or equal to, so I'm going to shade in that circle. And then the 4 does not have an or equal to, so it's going to be open. Okay, ors go out, are pointed out. okay? Which makes sense. If we read this, it says x is less than or equal to 2, and that's what we have here. And this says x is greater than 4, which is what we have here. Okay. Now here we have two different lines, so we have two interval notations. So we're going to write an interval notation for that one. Okay, so that would be negative infinity to 2 with a bracket. Okay, and now we're going to do interval notation for the one on the right. So it starts at 4 and it's an open circle, so that's parentheses 4, and it goes to positive infinity and parentheses. Okay, so this is interval notation. All right, next one. A teacher knows the majority of her students will score within 4 points of the class mean of 84%. Write an inequality that represents the test scores. Okay, so let's look at this on a number line. All right, so we know the mean is 84%, so that's going to go right here. Okay, now the class is going to score within 4 points. Okay, we don't know if the 4 points above or 4 points below. So if it's 4 points above, the class is going to be at 88%. If it's 4 points below, the class is going to be at 80%. All right, so since we're going in both directions, this is a compound inequality. So your middle is always going to be x. Okay. All right, my far left is 80 and my far right is 88. Okay. Now, we just got to put in the correct signs. Okay. So x is going to be less than 88%, which is back here. Okay, and it's got to be greater than 80%. Okay. So here's my inequality. All right, let's try another one. Golf scores are an 87 and 93. What possible scores can you earn on your next outing to have an average between 89 and 95? Write your answer in interval notation. Okay, so first of all, keyword here is average. Okay, so that means we're going to have to add them. So first of all, we have 3 golf scores. Okay, we have the 2 original ones and on our next outing. So we have 3. So we have 87 plus 93 plus our unknown. Okay, now if we want to average, we know we're going to divide by 3. Okay, that's how we do the mean. You add them up, divide by how many you have. Okay, now with a compound inequality, what these 2 scores mean is that's my low end and that's my high end. Okay, so we're going to attach those to the sides. So my high end is 95 and my low end is 89. So I have to solve for x. Okay, so I have to get that. There's a lot going on. So I'm first going to add these 2 together, and I get 180. So I have 180 plus x divided by 3, and then I'm going to bring down. Okay, now to solve for x, I got to get rid of the 3. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3. Those cancel. So this is 267. And then 95 times 3 is 285. Okay, again, still solving for x, so I have to separate 180, or I'm sorry, subtract 180. Okay, and I'm running out of room. So this gives me 87 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 105. So your golf score needs to be between 87 and 105. We'll do more of those. I know that's a tough one, but we will do more of those in class.